What's up? Welcome back to another video here on the FanTC YouTube page. We are on part 16 of our 45 days of mock drafts. Unfortunately, had a little bit of a vacation. We fell behind a couple of days, so we're going to be trying to make those back up so that way we can go back to the days as opposed to the parts. But this is going to be the 16th mock draft on the channel. This will be released Monday morning, so let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. We're going to be doing a 12-team league. It's going to be, I believe, full PPR, and it's just going to be a pretty general roster. One quarterback, two running backs, two receivers, tight end, two flex. So the two flex may be a little deeper than a lot of people play, but I still think that it's a good overall. Just it's better to get more players active. It just makes the league a lot deeper, even if you're just in a 10-man league. So let's jump in here, see what we're going to be. We're going to be on the 5. Okay. And just a heads up, I would say from here moving forward, I'm probably going to slow down a little bit in these and kind of go and talk through my picks and how I'm building the team a little bit more. I've kind of gotten into a habit of just getting this done in 8 to 10 minutes and just posting it and being done. I kind of want to do a little bit more on the just explaining why I'm doing what I'm doing side. So they may, be 20-ish, 25 minutes long now as opposed to 8 to 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's get this thing rolling. All right, Jefferson, McCaffrey, Eckler, Chase. Pretty standard four there. Gives me the choice of two guys that I have pretty much taken in this spot, either Cooper Kupp or Tyreek Hill. I guess Tyreek Hill still has a little bit of, question marks when it comes to a situation. I don't know if it's fully handled yet. Actually, never mind. I think I actually did hear on a podcast it did get settled because they made a joke about it probably just being paid off. But we're not going to get into that. Cooper Kupp, I still think, is an elite wide receiver. I think he has a great chance to be the top scoring wide receiver on a per game basis again. Again, we just hope he stays healthy, and of course that Matt Stafford stays healthy, and that the Rams are just on some kind of a winning path. Because I think if there's any kind of issue with them losing a good amount of games, it's just we could have the same thing happen where last year where Cooper Kupp gets a couple week injury and they just choose to sit him out because they don't want to risk a re-injury. I don't really know if they'd value the team as much going into next year. That's kind of a good little deep dive I may get into. And just kind of when we're talking about the risk of Cooper Kupp. So, honestly, pretty happy with a lot of options that came back to me. We had Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts all taken off the board. And I'd say the running backs and wide receivers are all good. Obviously, Kelsey wins. So, for me, right here, I love Josh Jacobs. I love Tony Pollard. I love Devontae Adams, and I love A.J. Brown. I feel like this is all, I'm not going to be overly upset with who I take here. Um, for me, and a lot, this year, especially when I'm in the front half of these drafts, I know on this right here in the 5 slot, I have a running back I think I can get, and then I have two more here that I'm content with. So I don't mind front loading the wide receiver room, especially if I miss out on like Caffrey and Eckler. So I think I'm going to do that here, and I think I'm going to go AJ Brown and go with the AJ Brown Cooper Kupp stack to start off the roster. Both Jacobs, Pollard, and Ramon. Well, all four of them go off. It'll be interesting to see if Dalvin's with the Jets and Zeke is with the Patriots. And I know Zeke's not going to be a huge fantasy impact, but he's going to steal touchdowns and quite a bit of them. So that is a concern if you are a Ramondre Stevenson owner like myself. We hope that his touchdown count can't stay high, but it will. We will see. So right here, love grabbing Mark Andrews if you like grabbing the tight end early. I Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf are all in the same tier of wide receiver for me. Um, Travis Etienne, I don't mind having him as my RB1, but I think when we look back on the season, Olave, Devontae Smith, and DK Metcalf might all outscore Travis Etienne unless he finds a way to stay healthy for the entire season. Not that he maybe wasn't, was unhealthy last year, but it just seemed like health maybe affected some of his fantasy outputs because they weren't able to play him as much. I don't know. That's kind of a bad take, but I was trying to find a way to justify taking those guys over him. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm into Olave, Devontae Smith. We can't go Devontae Smith because we already have AJ Brown, obviously. Um, so for me, I'm just going to go opportunity here and go Chris Olave. I think he has a little bit more opportunity over DK Metcalf. It's a nice little present for Team Seven, but he did go to quarterback and tight end a little early. I'll be interested to see how tight end seven finishes out with their running backs and wide receivers. Joe Mixon off the board already. That's a little bit of a letdown. I was hoping to snag him up here at this pick. Okay. His ADP is 53. We're going to be a 48. We're not 52. Going to be right at me. I'm not risking it in this group of running back. Now that Joe Mixon's off the board, Miles Sanders is. I'm ecstatic if Miles Sanders is my running back one and I'm still able to get him in the fourth. If I was down here, you could risk him, taking him actually in the fifth round. I just could not risk him potentially not getting back to me. Um, just because that's how much upside I truly think he does have. So let's take a look back here. Wide receivers, I'm not going to be too worried about. George Kittle did go off the board. If he would have fallen to this point, I think I would have taken George Kittle. Trevor Lawrence is really the only quarterback I'd be interested at this point, but I'm not going to jump all on Trevor Lawrence this time. Let's go. I already got Cup. I don't really want to go Cup and Akers, although I do like Akers. I do like James Conner quite a bit. Do I like him more than Alexander Madison is the question. I've been a little bit up in the air on Alexander Madison. I'm not drafting Dalvin Cook this early. No shot if he goes to New York. I mean, if he goes to New York, is Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook in the 4 or 5 range? Unless some news happens on either of them, I just can't draft either of those guys. Um, it's a pretty standard build here. Wide receiver, could go wide receiver, and then just stack up on running backs on the next turn. Not the highest on Terry, but I like Terry. You know what, actually? What I actually really like about this right now is I could take a shot on a guy like Drake London or Christian Watson, whoever you think is going to have the better season right here, and I'm not dependent on them. These guys, and if we look at all, Drake, London, Christian Watson, they're going to get taken within the next 3 or 4 picks, most likely anyway. And when you take these guys, you're really just hoping that their quarterbacks are able to sustain the level of production that you need for them to be fantasy relevant. And both of them have pretty big question marks at that. But in my situation, where they're looking to be either my second flex spot or potentially the first bench option for me, and just kind of a backup wide receiver, see if they potentially break out, I think I like that a little bit more. And I think I like Christian Watson's situation a little bit more. I can't draft Falcons outside of Bijan Robinson because it's going to be very run heavy, and I don't want just imagine Monday Night Football comes around and you have to watch Desmond Ritter try and get you like 16 fantasy points because that's what you need to win that week. I'm good. I don't want that to be the case. I just don't think Desmond Ritter's an NFL quarterback. Wow, huge get for me here. As I'm ripping Desmond Ritter, I get Kyle Pitts. That would be a little bit of a shock. I don't think I'm going to go Kyle Pitts. I'd imagine Kyle Pitts and Darren Waller get taken before the seventh round, before my pick in the seventh round at this point. Obviously, Team 1's got Kittle, but 2, 3, and 4 probably. One of those two are going to take them. I feel like I cannot take a tight end here. I'm someone who still values the running backs quite a bit. I want a guy who has a lot of opportunities similar to Miles Sanders. We'll see if he can up his efficiency a little bit. But as of right now, I don't see a lot of guys in Tampa that are going to be taking the ball away from Rashad White in the running game. And if that's going to be the case, I'm all over Rashad White. There we go. Pitts and Waller right off the board. Kamara and Javante all got taken. See, this is part of my issue with going zero RB. If I had instead of well, I guess it would have been instead of an A.J. Brown, I had Josh Jacobs. Then here I get like a Mike Williams, Christian Kirk, JSN. I like these top four guys more than almost all these running backs. Tight end, I can wait on at this point. QB, is there any value at quarterback left? Let's see, 7 times 12 is going to be probably not getting Deshaun back to me. Ooh, a lot of teams have quarterbacks, though. I might get Deshaun back to me. All right. We're going to take a little risk. We're going to see how this backfield in Detroit works out. We're going to snag David Montgomery. He has been sneakily very good for fantasy football every year of his career. Jahmyr Gibbs is going, a full 3 rounds ahead of him. Wouldn't doubt it if David Montgomery finishes higher than Jahmyr Gibbs in fantasy points this year. Not necessarily, saying that's going to be the case, but no, Jahmyr Gibbs is being taken like he's going to be a 3-down workhorse, around guys like Joe Mixon, Miles Sanders, just after Aaron Jones and Travis Etienne. Like, there's no guarantee Jahmyr Gibbs is getting that kind of workload. The weight on quarterback has worked out thus far. Now the question is, do we get risky and wait for the 9.5? At this point, while I'm looking here, I'm okay with getting either Deshaun or Tua. I know that's a little bit probably controversial. I'm sure a lot of people think Deshaun has a much higher ceiling, but Tua was a very good fantasy quarterback for the times that he was healthy. And I know a lot of people are going to think, well, he's probably not going to stay healthy. I don't need him to the whole season. I can figure out something at the quarterback situation. Actually, we're going to try and do something here that I have not thought about yet. We're going to go to Sean here in the 8th round. Got past that pick. There's no way. Let's go. We're going to stack Deshaun, David, and Njoku. Because I think David Njoku may be the most explosive offensive weapon outside of Nick Chubb on that offense. And Ingram's gone, and Freiermuth went a decent amount ahead of David Njoku. I don't necessarily agree with that. I like Evan Ingram more than Njoku, but just by one spot. Like a whole round and a half later for Njoku over Ingram, I'm going to be all over that all day. Now we get into the little bit of the, oh man, this is the running backs we have left. For me, I have Miles Sanders, Rachaad White, and David Montgomery. I'm realistically only looking at playing 2 of them a week. Maybe if something happens injury-wise, I got to flex a second, a third running back. But a guy that I think I could probably draft now, and he could probably, be one of those bottom 2 spots I don't want to drop to the waiver wire because I really do think he's going to have a really good year, whether that's just through the just on the ground, or I think he might be the best receiving back that this team has had in a while. I'm going to go Devon Achane. I think there's a chance he, any given week, can take a screen to the house from the running back position, and I think that could be extremely valuable as my running back 4. And now with these rosters not being super deep, I don't really care. Like, I may take a stab at a running back, here or here, but now I can really just look at wide receiver and just add guys that I like, that I think are going to have really good years. A guy like Sky Moore that I've talked about in these videos a lot. Kadarius No-Knee. I mean, he's not going to stay healthy the entire season. It's like trusting Odell Beckham Jr. to stay healthy at this point. I mean, he's pops up on the injury report every time he practices. I wish he'd stay healthy. I'm a Chiefs fan. I want him to be amazing. I want him to be our Tyreek Hill replacement like everyone hypes him up to be. But it's just not that right now. So I'm just going to quit hoping for that and just come to the realization that's probably not going to be the case. I'm also on the belief that I think the Chiefs' offense may just be a little bit complicated for a rookie wide receiver, especially with a quarterback like Mahomes, where you have to be able to know the defense that you're playing against, because the second the play breaks down, he needs someone to get open. Kelsey was talking about this on his podcast with Julian Edelman, that like he just since he understands the defenses so well, when he sees Mahomes rolling left or right, he knows where he can get to on the field where no one else should be. Rookies, that's going to be very difficult to get to that point. I'm not saying he will be at that point, but do I think he could be as good as Juju Smith-Schuster was last year for my wide receiver 5 on my team? Yeah, 100% think that's possible. All right, who's all left? I'm really not in love with any guy here at this point at the running back position. So I think I'll just take a stab and go Kendre Miller. I think I already got Chris Olave. Kendre Miller is just like another Devon A. Chain, but I think there's a chance Kendre Miller could get cut, not from the Saints, but from your fantasy roster and redraft after week 1 or 2. Maybe week 2, if there's no one you really want, you want to hold on to him. But other than that, I think it's pretty cuttable. Um, so at this point, I'm looking at I'm looking at 4 wide receivers that I'm pretty confident in starting, and then Sky Moore, who I want to see something out of. A couple running backs I'm a little iffy on. Is there a running back here though I feel like I can take that can show me something in the first couple of weeks? I already got Devon A. Chain, so why not? I think I am going to do it. Give me Jeff Wilson. There's a chance I may need to start Jeff Wilson in week 2 if he does something in week 1, and I'd rather him be on my team than one of these other teams or a free agent going into the first week of the year. That is how I'm going to wrap up the draft. Like I said, a little longer. We're looking at about 17 minutes. Not too bad. Like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff for me if you've made it all the way through the video. Appreciate it. Again, part 16 should be like day, I think, 20, but fell a little behind. A little vacation in Branson, Missouri. Gotta love it. But let's go through the team real quick, and we're going to go through Team 7 and see how their team turned out. I don't. My quarterback is going to be Deshaun Watson, he who should not be named. But again, at that point, I looked at it. I would have been okay with going with a different guy and seeing if Tua would have fallen back around to me. It may have gone Dak, and then Watson. I get Tua. I'd be okay with that, especially if I went Hill over Cup to start with. But once I noticed Njoku was out there and there was a pretty good chance Njoku could make it all the way back around to me, I was like, okay, let's grab Watson, let's grab Njoku, let's get that stack on our team. Both 1Z positions. We were able to wait far enough in the draft. I don't feel like I'm losing a lot of value taking both of those back to back there. So that's our tight end and quarterback. Running back, Miles Sanders, Rashad White, David Montgomery, Devon Achane, Kendre Miller, Jeff Wilson. So for going 0 RB to start, we blasted running back towards the end. It's really just a crapshoot at that position. I wanted to find guys I think could have opportunity. Miles Sanders, Rashad White, David Montgomery. Guys who could work their way into opportunity. Devon Achane, Kendre Miller. And then a guy who's kind of maybe a desperate week 2 play if my running back core gets hurt or something happens, and Jeff Wilson. Don't love it, don't hate it there at the last pick. And then my wide receivers, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, and Sky Moore. Love all 5 of those guys. Christian Watson I'm a little bit iffy about. Maybe, again, because he was my 4th wide receiver, I could take the shot on Watson over McLaurin. If you go heavy RB early, I'm probably taking McLaurin and the fact that he's done it for a while over him. But that's just building out different rosters. But that's going to be it. Like I said, like, comment, subscribe. We'll have part 17 up here probably Tuesday morning. So be on the lookout for that. Peace out.